the Art and Industry of Business and Living podcast, discussing conscious choices around business, money, life and living, and creating a greater future for you and the planet. Good morning, everybody from Rome, Italy. It's Simone Milasas here, your host, and we've got a little bit of a different podcast today. This is from a live recording from Rome, Italy that I did the other night with some friends and colleagues of mine. And it's about actions for futures. And what I want you to look at is listen to this, and if it's something that you're interested in, it's like over the next year, we like to call ourselves, pragmatic futurists. We'll continue to have conversations that will change and create the future. With Gary Douglas, Dain Heer, myself, Bredon Watt, Steve Bowman, Chutisa Bowman, David Kubes, and Chris Hughes. You can go to actionsforfutures.com/join program. But I hope you enjoy this next hour. And if you're interested in anything, go to the website. And I adore you guys. Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you like it, please give it like a thumbs up, 5 stars on iTunes, and send it on to your friends, because my desire here is to create a greater, bigger future. And I have had the most incredible week here in Rome, Italy. One of the things that occurred is Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, he's usually on stage with Dain Heer, facilitating the facilitators of Access, basically. And he happened to get really sick. He got shingles. And I don't know if you've ever had that, but it's very, very painful. So he was only able to come on stage for a couple of days here and there. So myself and Bredon Watt got up on stage, and we were part of facilitating with Dain Heer. And it was phenomenal. And can I tell you, I'm so grateful, and the amount of people who have been so grateful to me and come up and said, that they know now that they can go out there and facilitate consciousness as well, which is just awesome. And I had a bunch of stuff going on. And one thing, and I'm going to do a podcast about this coming up too, so don't forget to check out the future podcasts. One of the things that I had a lot of stuff going on, and I still was willing to be so vulnerable and just say, hey, this is what's going on for me, and I am going to change whatever I can to create a greater future. And that's where I'm at now. I feel like the biggest friggin' powerhouse in the world. I'm like, let's go. We can do this. So what would you like to change in the world? And please listen to Actions for Futures. I know I said I was going to have all these happiness podcast this month, because it's World Happiness Day, 20th of March. And you know what? This does make me happy. So I'm hoping it makes you happy. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Yay. Welcome, everybody, to Actions for the Future.
Yay.
Thank you, everyone. So first of all, I would like to introduce everyone that we have here on stage. We have Mrs. Steve Bowman. Mrs. Yes. Woo! Mrs. Chutisa Bowman. Woo! Mr. Bredon Watt. Woo! Dr. Dain Heer. And myself, Simone Milasas. And Mr. Christopher Hughes. And Dr. David Kubes. The only foundational person that we are missing tonight is Mr. Gary Douglas, and he could not make it tonight and sends his apologies, and yet he is a part of the foundational people who started Actions for Futures. So I'm going to play a little bit of an MC role tonight, and I would like to ask these guys some questions so that you can get some information as well. So the first thing I would like to talk about is if any of you guys can give us some information on what is Actions for Futures. We deliberately didn't tell you guys a lot of information. So what is Actions for Futures? If anyone wants to take the... Chutisa just pointed out David. That's the boss lady.
Chutisa is our boss. This is how this works.
So the way it all started was with a question, what else? And the question was actually, what action can we take today to create the future that we truly desire? And what do we mean by the future that we truly desire? Everyone here and everybody who wants to be part of that, our assumption is that they came in for something greater than just living a life, dying, and that was it. So the question is we were asking, so what future would each of us like to see, like to be? How would we like to, what would the earth, the planet, our environment, our businesses, our relationships, everything that we can create with the choice today be in the future if we would take a certain action today, if we would be willing to step up and be the kind of role model, the inspiration for others, maybe the first one whoever allows themselves to do something different, be different, and by just being that, knowing this is the future that I want to create, inspire others to step up as well. So this was the question that this, whatever it is, started with. And this is the question that we want to ask everyone in this room today. So what action can you take today in your daily life, in your business, in your relationship, to create the future that you truly desire to see?
And one of the things I would like one of you guys to expand on too is the future. How far in the future are we talking about, and what is that future?
Well, there are different aspects of that. What we're looking at is if we were to truly create a sustainable living Earth for the next 500 years, what would that take? You know, scientists are telling us now the Earth has 12 years before it will no longer sustain us, the people that are on the planet right now. So if we can, and what can we be, and what can we choose together that will change that? What other doorways of possibility can we together open up? What do you know that is a contribution to this? What do we know that is a contribution to this? And how can we inspire you to know that you, recognizing the different possibilities for future, actually has the capacity to create it if you will choose to head in that direction? You know, we have a teenage suicide rate that has been rising, skyrocketing around the world for the last several years. Why? Because these kids do not perceive that there's a future here. Why do they want to be here? And so we're here to say, if we choose together, we can change what the current future has been projected as. We, by our choices, can change it. And it takes people like us who have an awareness of something different being possible to actually choose according to that possibility we're aware of. So when we talk about creating a sustainable living Earth for the next 500 years, that's one of our targets. And a lot of you go, 500 years, wait a minute, I can't even think about next month, you know? It's like my paycheck doesn't come for 2 weeks, so, you know, and we get that and we realize that, but if we start to change our focus and change our point of view from tomorrow or 2 weeks from now to a year from now, 5 years, 10, 20, 50. Now, notice when I start to get to 50, a lot of you are like, wow, it's kind of exciting and oh my God, how do I do that? Well, that's why we want to have the conversations we want to have with this and head in that direction. So if you go 50, what could the Earth be like in 50 years or 100 years if we all actually became the gift that we are, the awareness that we have, and started choosing to have a future rather than trying to just choose for today?
There's really two key elements in all of this. One of them is action. The other one is future.
And that forward just combines them.
The rest of it's filler. But the key thing in that is when we were having these conversations, it really hit home that every choice we make creates the future. Every single choice we make. Not the future we want, it just creates the future. So if we're willing to be more aware of the choices that we make and the implications and the possibilities that those choices then create and then create and then create. And when something's not quite working, we choose again and again and again. And we recognize that every choice creates the future. Then what actions need to be taken? And this is what we find so many people forget. Action goes along with choice. Choosing is not enough. Choice and action creates the future. So one of the things that we've been talking about is actions for the future. Not the future we want, but just creating the possibility of a difference that's out there. And let's put that into action through the projects, through the programs that is far greater than what we can even imagine at the moment.
And I would say that's the difference, is the action, which is why it's the first word probably. The action that we take, because a lot of you have ideas, a lot of you have things that you would like, but you're not currently taking action. We wanted to create a venue whereby your action actually creates a result, where you were not alone in this, but also where we together could come up with ideas for things that would change things and contribute to them to create the greater future that I think a lot of us know should be possible. But when you're sitting there at home knowing it should be possible and seeing the destruction that's currently going on the planet, you start to wonder, is it really possible? And is my choice enough? Well, the beauty of it is, with enough of us together, yeah, your choice is not only enough, it truly starts to change the direction of the future for all of us.
Okay, so one of the things you just said, Dain, is it really possible? And I get that that comes up for a lot of people around the world of, is it really possible? Can I actually make a change, me just being me? So if you want to talk about that, or anyone else can talk about that.
We don't really talk about it. We don't really talk about the future and what we see together and what we can create together for the future. We go, oh, well, we've got today, we've got next week, we've got, but we don't actually get together and go, what do you see it being like? And how do we create it together?
Create it together. Good point, Bredon Watt.
But also not from a solidity or a definition of what that's going to be, but just from a commonality of purpose in looking at what we actually want as a future and what choices we can all create together to make that possibility real.
I would like to highlight the word that you said then, sustainable future. And that is the key word, because future will happen, but sustainability is the key word that Gary often mentioned in Benevolent capitalism. Like, most people think sustainable meaning just surviving. What we are here talking about, sustainability, sustainable future, is about grow, expand, be more, and compounding and generate more. So we would like to invite everyone to be a contribution to grow, expand, and generate sustainable future, not just.
That's interesting, because do you guys get that each and every single one of you can contribute to the future that we can create? Because, and recently Gary Douglas, who is one of the members who's not here, he was on a call that he was doing, and he was talking, like you were saying, 50 years, 100 years, 500 years. And he said, what if we actually started looking at 25,000 years? And I was like, whoa.
Whoa.
And to me, it was like, I thought that I would have had the point of view that that's too far in the future. What if it wasn't? What if every single action that you took today could create something greater in 25,000 years? And this is not about making it significant, guys. It's like, I see so many people, with being environmentally aware, etc., it becomes significant, and where you're right and where you're wrong. That's not what we're talking about. It's like the key words, as we say, actions for future. It's like, or actions for futures. It's like, what actions can we take today that's going to create something different showing up in the world? Because would you like something different? Yeah? Yeah.
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Okay, cool. Just checking.
So I'm just going to do everything it doesn't allow that to show up where you destroy and uncreate it.
Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, short slice.
And for those of you guys watching this that go, what the hell did they just say? You can go to a fabulous website called theclearingstatement.com, where my friend Dr. Dain Heer talks about the clearing statement. It's from Access Consciousness, and it works.
Yeah, it's a way of changing the stuff that we all have really easily, really quickly. So we may be using it tonight so that we can pop open some more possibilities here.
So what are some of the things that we're going to be doing and creating in Actions for Futures?
I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
Sometimes you need to leave to do something. No.
Exactly.
He wants to do it straight away.
Yeah, he's going. He's taking action now, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm creating the future as we speak.
So, he's bringing. Oh, you're doing show and tell. Show and tell. Okay, so back to Dain. Show and tell.
Well, you asked the question.
I did ask the question.
Oh, go ahead. I'll add this as we do.
There's a lot of things that we want to look at, and we start. Okay, so some of the things that we started with is. If none of you guys, if you have not read the book The Place by Gary Douglas, to me that is almost like the starting point for what Actions for Futures is. The the book, The Place by Gary Douglas, it shows you a place of where you can be in communion with people, with animals, with the land, with each other. And I remember when he was actually writing the book, and we were traveling around Europe with him, and I remember one time in a hotel room, I think it was in Italy actually, and Dain and I are sitting on this bed while Gary's reading the book, because he's, halfway through reading it. And he looks up, and Dain and I are just like bawling. And he looks at us and goes, "Is it bad?" And we were like, no. And I was like, oh my God, this is what I see the world could be and should be, okay? So how you could be in a relationship with other people, how you can be in communion with the planet and with the earth, etc. So some of the things that we started to create was a piece of land, or a massive piece of land that we have in Costa Rica, and we've actually called it El Lugar, which, translated is the place in Espanol, in Spanish. And we are building a resort there, and it's a place that we desire for people to come, and we're going to do access consciousness classes there. And I can tell you, there was at one point when we were on the land, and we usually go riding horses, and I had some stuff going on with my body, and I couldn't ride a horse that day. So everyone else went off riding, and I went, I'm just going to go for a walk on the land. I was like in tears within about 15 minutes going, oh my God. I was on my own with the land going, this land is phenomenal. And what it was willing to contribute to me, and my willingness to receive it, I was like, this is what we need to create. This is what I desire to create around the world. And then another project that we have is Castle Borgoni, which is in Italy. And it's a castle that we created, which I'm very much looking forward to going to next week, because I haven't been to it without the scaffolding up around and no rooms being made up. And it's another energy that we created that has this sense of peace, a sense of space, and I'm going to say a sense of possibility. How do you create a sense of possibility? By allowing a lot of choice and question in that actually allows that possibility to show up. So these are two places in the world that we've created. We do desire to create more things like that. And also we desire to contribute to different things that people are having around the world as...
Yes.
Can I just say a couple of things before you start?
Please.
The projects that we're looking at and the things that we will be creating actions around is not about being philanthropic. It's not about trying to save. It's not trying to do good. What it is creating the ripples of possibility that otherwise wouldn't exist. And so for everything we do with Actions for Futures is looking at creating that space where the difference that we can create has ripples thousands of years into the future.
That should be our tagline, ripples of possibilities. I love that.
Yeah, truly. So you see, we're part of what we're doing is attempting to change the conversation that is going on in the world right now, and change the perspective, change it to one of possibilities, not doom and gloom. And what we realize is we need to actually take action to do that. And so there are, Simone mentioned the property in Costa Rica, the place that has this nurturing of the earth, the castle in Italy that has the nurturing that the earth actually is. And when we have the capacity to recognize that and receive from it, things start to change. That's first. Like, in other words, there's this gifting that occurs and this receiving that occurs. And then there are also many, 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 many projects around the world that are empowering people to create a different possibility, sometimes in the direst of circumstances that can exist. One of those is called Girl Up Initiative, Girl Up Uganda Initiative. I keep getting it confused. Girl, G-U-U-I-I. Anyway, here's the book. Okay, so the book that we got from them, so you can see it online, is We Have Something to Say. And this is interesting because when you start to ask for creating a greater future, the tools start to arrive in your hands when you least expect it. And the people that can contribute to it will surprise you. And this has been the case for us continuously. We've been continuously surprised by the people that show up and say, hey, we would like to contribute to a different possibility. Well, there was a lady who did access consciousness classes for a while, and she got in touch with this Girl Up Uganda initiative. And what they do is they give after-school education, if you will, not school education, but education on how to be a person who stands up for themselves, for example. It would seem like some of the simplest of things if you didn't live in that environment. She went there and volunteered with them for 3 months. And she happened to be a photographer, and she said, hey, guys, let's do something where we can get these girls' stories out into the world. Well, I came back from facilitating a class in Houston one night, and this was laying on the kitchen table. And I wasn't thinking anything in particular, but it drew me, and I picked it up. And I started reading these stories of these girls that have participated in this program and could not stop crying, because for me, this is part of the future I would like to see in the world. So I'm going to read to you just one of these and then talk to you a little bit more about it. But this is one of the things. And a lot of you have done access consciousness classes, so you know there's this vibrant, dynamic level of change available. And yet we tend to put that into a box sometimes where we think that's the way to do it or whatever, even though that's not our point of view in access. But what's interesting to me, well, let me read this to you and you tell me what you see, okay? When I was this is Nalunga, okay, age 13. When I was in primary school 4, I had just joined Kisma Primary School and did not know anyone there. There was a group of 3 girls who'd been in the school already, and they did not like me. They made fun of me because of my stutter, and they said I was not bright enough. I remained without a friend and thought that everyone thought of me the same way. At home, we were 8 children, so I decided to remain friends with just my siblings at home. I had low self-esteem and feared speaking out. I was shy, and I felt left out because my classmates used to abuse me, and I felt lonely. There were some pupils who used to do bad things, and I thought that I'm also bad like them because of my low self-esteem. I was not confident to speak out by myself because I thought people will abuse me like my classmates used to. When I was like that, I thought, I'm not a good child, so I decided to join the bad peer groups. They influenced me by making me do bad things. I started abusing people. This was because I did not know myself. When I was in primary 5, the people from Girl Up Initiative Uganda came and introduced their club to us. I didn't believe in what they were saying. I thought they were joking and I couldn't take it seriously. I also didn't want to be anywhere else where people would make fun of me. But one day my female teachers asked me, why don't you join Girl Up? I couldn't refuse because I liked it, but I was shy and I feared to speak out. When those of Girl Up came, I feared because I could not get used to being with such caring people. They were kind to everyone. By the way, kindness may be one of the things we desire to include in our future for all of us.
Might be one of the actions.
Yes. And one of the things that you be that you often take for granted or don't value because it doesn't seem to be valued here. If you just took that one thing and started valuing your kindness that you could be toward other people, what gift could that possibly be? So it goes on. They taught us so many good things in very many topics. Out of those topics, I most liked self-esteem because that topic helped me to know myself and to be confident so that I can speak out by myself without fearing anything. I could not believe that I can speak for myself. It was unbelievable, but I believed it. I know I can teach others to believe in themselves. You see how this works? We know this, right? We know that when you empower somebody and they get empowered, that they can contribute it to other people. This girl knows this. I know I can teach other people. One time at home, my mom asked me what had changed about me because she realized I was happier and not a loner anymore. I told her it's because of Girl Up Initiative Uganda and that I've learned that if I do not believe in myself, then no one will believe in me. The same girls that used to tease me are now my friends because they also later on joined Girl Up, and we were taught how to live with others and respect everyone. They no longer make fun of me and we get along well, and they do not mind me stuttering anymore. I'm no longer a sad girl. I'm a member of the school health club now, and I can confidently talk to them when we are doing our activities. I want to become a doctor so that I can help these people who cannot treat themselves. I want to help my parents to have a good and healthy life. I want to help the orphans who lost their parents. I also want to help these people who stay on the streets. I want to help young girls who don't know what they are to realize their dreams and to promote girl-child education so they can have a better future.
So the name of the book again is We Have Something to Say, and it's true stories from adolescent girls growing up in the slums of Kampala. And you can actually get this on Amazon, correct?
Yep, you can get it on Amazon.
And one of the things that we're looking at doing with Actions for Futures is we are trying to find a date, which might be the hardest thing possible, that Dain will actually be going to Uganda for about a week, and he's going to be doing a class with these people. We're not sure what it's going to look like, but you will be able to be a part of that as well, whether it's from audio live, whether it's actually going to Uganda as well, etc. So we're going to, work out some possibilities that are available with that.
And it's one of the things that for us speaks to exactly what we're looking to create as Actions for Futures. And we were on the phone, Skype, whatever, with the ladies that created this. And it's very interesting. If you read in the beginning of the book, there was one lady who went there and she had lived in Santa Barbara, and she met the other lady who started the Girl Up Initiative Uganda. They did it together, but the one lady was visiting and she said, we need to do this. And the other lady who was living in Kampala, who when she was younger, had one teacher who believed in her, which changed her whole life. And then she wanted to contribute back to these girls. And the lady from Santa Barbara left her $100 and said, please get started. This is an investment in our future. And she came back 2 months later, and the lady had already educated 50 girls using the $100. And so it was like, wow. And so we were on this phone conversation looking for how we could contribute, how we could also get others to contribute. And it was such a beautiful thing. And what they said was that to do this with 80 girls in a school, so to have one school is $5,000 a year. I'm like, you can change 80 girls' lives with $5,000 a year. And then one of the other things they spoke about was one of the difficulties is even when the girls come to Girl Up Initiative, they will, if their family is poor, they won't be able to afford secondary school. And secondary school is $450 a year. And so what happens is they get married off to somebody because their family doesn't have the money to pay. And so what we realized was for $700 a year, which includes supplies, etc., we could actually send a girl to school. So on that phone call, we made the choice to sponsor a school and also to send 10 girls to secondary school. And I mean, if you look at for me, you hear these stories and it's like, do you get the simplicity? It's like, it's not rocket science to change somebody's awareness of future. It's just the caring for them and then giving them some tools so that they know they have value and contributing to them to know there's a possibility for a future. And then they know it already. Like somewhere they know it should be this way, and it's just having somebody show them. So this is part of one of the things we're doing with Actions for Futures, and we are going to be contributing to this as dynamically as we possibly can. And I will say also, we have something to say one more time, like Simone said, it's on Amazon. That's one of the ways that's supporting them. They get 100% of the proceeds from the book. And you'll cry your friggin' eyes out all night.
There's one thing I just wanted to sort of make, get the point out here too. This is not about us helping people. This is about, as Steve said, it's taking actions to create a different future. Because we don't look at ourselves as superior. It's just like, okay, what can we do to contribute to these people that they can receive? Like there was, one story a little while ago that a lady in Australia went to a prison in Brisbane, Australia, and she started talking to the prison and doing bars on.
She wasn't going to prison.
No,
just to clarify. She went to this point
to talk to them about doing bars, which access consciousness bars is a hands-on process that you do, and she got permission to do it on the maximum security prisoners there every week. And there was these guys that had been in prison for years and years and years. Some of them were life sentence, some of them 20, 30 years. And we got these reports back from them saying, this is the first time ever that I walked into the mess hall, which is where they eat, and I didn't want to fight someone. This is the first time that I slept the night through and I didn't have nightmares. There's one guy that really rang true for me, and he said, you know what, this is the first time that I realized what I want to do when I leave prison. And he's still in prison at the moment. And he said, I want to be a bars facilitator when I leave prison. And it's like, wow. So that sort of empowerment that we can be for others in so many different areas of life, whether it's Uganda, whether it's a prison. I mean, I know Claudia Kano was doing bars on orphan girls in Mexico that had been abused, and they were in an orphanage, and we got to do bars on them. It's like, what if this was Actions for Futures was about empowering every single person in the world to know that there is a different possibility and, like you said, a different conversation available, something else that's possible. So that's what we're about. We don't have a point of view of what this is going to look like. Like, we even saw something recently on Facebook that Gary went, find out where those kids are from. We want to donate some money. There was this man in a school somewhere in Middle America, and he was, sorry, I don't know which state it was, but he had a bunch of boys that were like, I think they were like 10, 11, 12, and there were all these young boys who didn't have fathers, and he was doing this course and teaching them and bought them all suits about how to be a gentleman. And you should have seen this photo on Facebook. It was so beautiful with them all that bow ties and their little suits and stuff like that. And he was educating them how to be a gentleman. So that's not about, like, you know, putting food in their mouth, etc. It's empowering them to be something more, to be something greater. And that's what Actions for Futures is about. So that's the sort of thing that we would go, oh, okay, let's see if we can send these kids some money so that we can empower them even more of what is available in life. Because what if everything was available for every single person on the whole entire planet?
And I just a little background, how the whole thing started is spontaneously from the conversation we all were sitting together at lunch. And we were talking about benevolent capitalism that we were all been doing up to then. And then we said that what else is possible? What else could we create together that are greater than each one of us can create by ourselves? And then we just having a chat, and Gary said, Actions for the Futures. And we thought, oh, yes, we didn't even know what that was, you know, in that moment in
we
time.
still don't know what it is.
The energy was so right. The energy, like, yes. And then we said we could create based on the philosophy that we were talking about in benevolent capitalism.
So
which
can you just
wishing
explain
well
a little bit
for all.
about benevolent capitalism? Yeah.
Okay, Steve?
Oh, I was actually asking you, but go, Steve. Yeah.
I'm a director here, huh? Director.
And I do what I'm told. So benevolent capitalism is a way of being with the world, where we look at bene and volent, two ancient Greek words meaning wishing well for all. And then the capitalism is the organic growth, which is where capitalism started from. So wishing well for all whilst organically growing is what we are looking for to create in the world by not just doing things, but also looking to see how it can exponentialize in ways that no one can even imagine. So one of the first things that we did was with the castle at Castle Borgogni, and you've seen a miracle appear in 18 months that everyone said would take 4 years, that has totally refurbished not just the castle, but the whole district, and not just the district, but people around it. So the waves of the future possibilities that choice created is what benevolent capitalism is about. So this whole thing came about from this conversation about what does benevolent capitalism mean to the world, and what is it that we can be and do that would actually create it in a way that was sustainable into the future.
And I wish...
So I just wanted to add, because I really want to reiterate that this is not about us helping people who are less than. Like, if you look at the town of Castle Borgogni, and when we went and did a whole a launch there, and you know, we had the press there, etc. And there's this one woman there. I don't know. She was like, is she 80, 90 or something like that?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell the story?
Oh, we did the press release in the town of Castle Borgogni, just to allow the townspeople to ask us questions and let them know what we're doing and introduce ourselves. And a woman got up and she said, I used to take butter and cheese on my donkey up to the castle every day. And the fact that you guys are doing this and that you've brought this back to life and brought this life back to our town makes me want to live again.
That's what we're talking about as well with the Actions for Futures.
But we will also, for people who haven't experienced what benevolent capitalism has been about, so it started off with Gary talking about, so wishing well for all. What does that mean? You know, it doesn't mean being philanthropic. Is that the word? Philanthropy. It's about we all can be, a better world start with each and every one of us. So when we had that conversation and we knew that each and every one of us here have a potency to create something by ourselves, and we were saying, so what would it take for us to combine our potency that we could create and generate and be a curiosity and invitation to invite more people to join us.
Way more fun.
Way more fun because we all have a power and potency. So we might be the
foundational members,
but we would invite everyone to become the pragmatic futurists with us.
Benevolent capitalism is just one choice at a time. It's not something that you need to say one day into the future, I'll be a benevolent capitalist. It's just one choice at a time. Wishing well for all, creating no harm, creating and growing. That's the energy
and
in which you can create.
Sustainable future, like then start introducing that, create future that grow, expand, be more.
One choice at a time.
Generative.
And that's where the organic growth becomes possible as well. It's with every choice that you make that invites and allows your next choice and your next choice and your next choice and those around you to choose even greater.
So I just want to reiterate what Steve said. It's like every choice creates a future. What are you choosing right now and what future is it creating? And then what are you capable of choosing that if you chose it would create the future you would actually like to have?
So the choice we made is to start Actions for Futures. And the first action that we took, I went to Ireland and created a foundation. And the board members are now here on stage. And the project...
This is our first annual general meeting, by the way.
We just thought we would film it and invite you.
Yes. And this is actually the first thing that we want to share with you. We had this great idea and we had the foundation. We all got the energy. And then I went to Ireland and founded the foundation. So this was the action that I was taking. And we were sitting down, writing our constitution, writing down the constitution of Actions for Futures. I did it with Steve. Thank you so much. And then we were looking at what action can we take to get this out to the world. And this is when we noticed we are doing it already. So the way we want to start this is invite you to be part of it, to actually share with you what actions we are taking when we are creating, to give examples on what choices we made, what action we took in the project Elugar at the castle, just supporting this project, how the universe contributes to us by giving us the information where our projects are around. And please get it, it's not a charity foundation. Charity is pretty judgmental because it actually requires the point of view that someone needs help. It's disempowering. We are looking for projects where we can empower people to step up. It can be a contribution for them to choose more. So this is what we want to invite you to. We have these board members here. The project's Actions for Futures is contributing to, will be subject to the approval of these board members to actually see, is this something that creates the future that we want to see here? Is this benevolent capitalism in action? So this is what we want to offer, and this is what we want to invite you to do, to just come and join us and see how we do it, what we do, and kind of train the muscle on being that in your daily life.
And also to receive, like you said, train the muscle and receive from us and everybody who contributes this awareness of the capacity to truly create a different future. Unless we get that, we don't really have a future. And so this staying in the energy of something, like being present with it continuously, is something that contributes dynamically. And so you're continuously in the presence of, oh, wow, they're doing this. Oh, here's how I can do this. But also receiving that, the contribution that this whole idea of actions for futures can be, hopefully will not only gift you something, but also your gift will create a greater possibility for everyone that we can affect together.
So how do you contribute with Actions for Futures? Is one of the things, this is just the start of what we're doing, is we are going to have like a monthly call, and it's going to be with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of us and possibly some guests. And each month we will have something that we will talk about. We'll pick a topic. You can go to Actions for Futures and join that. But part of this also, each and every call, we'll spend like 5, 10, 15 minutes and give you the download and ask you questions and ask you to contribute of what we're actually creating so that you can be a part of this. I know that what we would like is, can you imagine if we had 1 million members of Actions for Futures and what sort of change that we could create in the world? Just for one moment. I know that a lot of you guys are really frightened because you've been facilitators for 4 days and you're like, what is she saying? But
what is 1 million again?
Yeah, what is 1 million?
What?
If we had 10 million, if we had 10 million people that were involved in this, and we are willing to listen to anything. Like if you've got something that's coming up, like I said, that small thing of this teacher in America saying, hey, I'm teaching these kids to be a gentleman. That's not like helping poverty. It's like helping these kids to know that they can be something, that they can be greater. And then you've got these, kids in Uganda in the slums. And then you've got creating these properties around the world that will have, a place where people can be that know that the possibilities are available. So we don't have a point of view of what this looks like. All we know is it's time to take some actions to create a greater future. So if you want to find out more about this too, please go to actionsforfutures.com. We are starting I think our first call is next month with Steve, Chutisa and David and guests. We used that as a trick and guess because we could just add anyone we wanted. It's a manipulation. And do you remember the topic that we were talking about on the first one? Extrapolation of possibilities. And these guys are phenomenal. I mean, everyone here is phenomenal. And it's like, and you get, to come and play with us, and we invite you to be a part of this. Each and every month there'll be something different as well. So do you guys want to say anything about that?
Inviting you here is not just about us. Inviting you to see the action that you are taking every day and every moment. And ask yourself, what future are you creating with each and every action you take? And different possibilities arise and show itself to you every moment. And the choice you make in that moment can change and alter everything. For example, when you and Gary bought that starving 75 horses, that's an action for the future.
I was like, starving 75? I was like...
I mean, that is the action for the future.
Yeah.
Those little things. Yeah, that's not little, 75 starving horses.
Yeah, we got this awareness through the guy that worked at our ranch, that there were these horses that had not been fed by this guy for many, many, many months. And so Gary offered to buy them so that we could get them out of there so we could actually start taking care of them. And we got 77, I think, over 70 starving horses that we had been feeding for the last several months. And if you've ever fed a starving horse, there's one thing it does: eat.
And have babies, apparently, I've heard.
And this is the interesting thing, is we have one baby that we call Infinity, because this baby came out of a mare and she was just born a few weeks ago. She came out of a mare that was skin and bones. We didn't even know if the mare was going to live. She had been so starved because of the conditions they were in at this other place before we got them. And she is out and she is on the ground and she looks as healthy as you could imagine. And she's like this beautiful promise of possibilities for future, and this gift that came from getting these horses out of the starvation so that we could contribute to them to actually create some possibilities for the horses too. And one of the things is, if you'll notice, Notice we're talking about a property in Costa Rica. We're talking about a castle in Italy. We're talking about this amazing project in Uganda. We're talking about starving horses. We're talking about kids becoming gentlemen. You notice it doesn't have a particular theme other than it contributes to creating a greater future for everyone and everything involved. That's what we're interested in.
And can I add something to that? It includes revenue stream. So we don't support projects of charity just for being the good. No, benevolent doesn't mean that it has to be for free. Return on investment is actually allowed. And it's actually something that we would invite you to include in all your own creations. It's not giving it away for the good.
Wait, revenue streams are not bad?
No.
Oh, you mean you might actually require money to live?
That might be part of the sustainable part.
Yeah, exactly that.
Well, what about multiple stream of revenue?
Yes.
So the more money we can
create,
because
can you change the world more with money or without money? With, and we all know this, but somehow money got a bad rap. No, it's like, how are you going to use it? What are you going to do with it? Are you going to create a future with it? Or are you just going to hoard it like Scrooge McDuck? You know? And so this also has to be part of it because otherwise it's not sustainable. A lot of you have done things, or you know people who've done some brilliant things, but they did not attach an income stream to it, and they did it for a little while, and then it went away. Well, we require desire to have all of it because then it's truly sustainable. And money's not wrong, money's not bad. The only thing that's really wrong and bad is stupidity. But that's a story for another time. I don't know that we're going to be eliminating that anytime soon. Okay, good.
And one of the things with the money is you can change things in the world. And we are all donating our time. None of us are making money from any of this. In fact, we've all invested money in the beginning of Actions for Futures. So we're asking that if you guys would like to contribute in this, you can either contribute by, I think it's $150 a month for the call, or $1,500 for the year, or there will also be on Actions for Futures the places that you could gift to certain things. Like, so if you wanted to gift to the Uganda project, or if you wanted to gift to the prisoners, or if you wanted to gift to these kids becoming gentlemen, etc. So it's up to you, and it's like you have a look at it. And as I said before, it's about us empowering people to know that there's a different possibility. It's not about us helping, it's about broadening the possibilities that are available.
And we're all continuously contributing to the projects that we just talked about and looking for a greater contribution in whatever way that might be. And you'll know. I mean, you'll know. Did we interrupt what you were saying about the...
I'd just like to pick up on what Simone said before. Can you imagine if we had 1 million people involved in this?
And then I changed it to 10 million.
Yeah, 10 million.
Yeah.
I'd take it one step further. Imagine if 10 million people really got that choice creates.
I'm having what you're having. And also that example that we all, us, everybody watching, by the way, hi everybody watching, that we all can be to that. And what you may not realize is the choices that you have made to change things have given the people in your life the awareness that they can change things too. And that idea that what if 10 million people knew that choice creates? Can you feel the world change as that happens? Wow. So, MC.
So, MC. So, do you guys have anything else you want to say? I think we're almost at an hour. So, do you guys, yeah. David, Chris, Dain, Bredon, Chutisa, Steve. All right. So, we would like to say thank you so much for joining us here tonight. And please check it out, actionsforfutures.com. And if it feels right to you, please pass it on to every person you know. Because we, like I said before, or Dain said, 5, 10, 15, 20, 500 years in the future, 25,000 years in the future, where would we like this to be? And it might sound boring to you guys, but I love a good constitution. Steve Bowman taught me that. And the constitution we do have for Actions for Futures is that, you know what, if all of us get hit by a bus tomorrow, this thing still exists. And this thing still moves forward, and it's about creating, from the benevolent capitalism point of view, and creating Actions for Future. So this is not about us. We're just the ones that are choosing to start this right now. And we would like you to be involved in whatever capacity you would like to be involved in.
If it feels good for you, do it. If it doesn't, don't. Okay? Thank you so much, everybody, for being here and for staying awake.
Thank you.